How's it going, YouTube? Cyber CDH here. How's it going? Really excited to already see people coming to join the live stream. So this is really impressive. This is somewhat of an experiment of mine here, just to kind of live stream some analysis. I've got the chat window up. I've got my screen being shared. Hopefully everyone can hear me, so please someone in the chat and just let me know that I'm loud and clear and you can hear what I'm saying. I'm not actually talking to myself. That'll be really appreciated. This is awesome. So hopefully what everyone's going to kind of get from my live streams are a bit of a flavor for how I approach malware analysis, how I kind of approach a target application or a weird office doc or something, in the spirit of you might be working in cybersecurity, you might be working in this kind of environment, and you'd be asked to look at a particular sample, and how do you approach it? Where do you kind of first start? Let me turn. I see people saying I'm a little quiet. Let me turn the gain up on my mic a little bit, and you can see. In fact, I can move it a little closer as well. But keep it going. Let me know if you can hear the tunes, if you can hear my mic, etc. How's that? Any better? Might help if I actually move it a little closer to my face. So we'll see. Good. Hopefully that's cool. I've tweaked the settings a little bit, but just keep the comments coming in as well. So the reason for the stream, as I say, is to kind of give a view on like how I approach malware analysis, what kind of tools and techniques I use, and more importantly, like what are we actually trying to extract from a sample really quickly to get some kind of key indicators. So I'm going to kind of show you my mindset, and hopefully you can play along with me and see the kind of tools I use and stuff like that. So I'm really big on inspiring people to get into cybersecurity, into malware analysis. To any kind of questions and comments you have along the way, if they're in the chat window, I will definitely try and answer as many things as I can, and hopefully this will inspire people to get more involved and learn something more about malware analysis as well. So all good. Alrighty. It looks like we've got some Scousers in the house as well, so happy days. So all good. So good. I got my virtual machine here set up. So I've got my Windows 7 virtual machine, which is kind of like my trusty malware analysis hack box with all my tools jacked up on it. Most of it is out of date. I definitely need to spend some time updating some of the tools that I use, but yeah, we'll get around that eventually. Cool. So what we're going to do, I thought actually I just pulled down some interesting samples that I found over the last few days. I've been looking on Twitter and following Emotet malware quite a lot. Obviously one of the most prevalent pieces of malware, which are attacking organizations and individuals today, and they use a variety of techniques, right? So I thought it'd be interesting to pull apart a couple of their samples. They're downloaders anyway, so they're Office files, they're Office documents, which lead to the actual malware, and this will probably be the start of a series of streams into Emotet malware, and we'll pull apart the actual executable, get into some assembly and stuff, but maybe that's a little bit too heavy today. We'll see how it goes. So let's start. We'll have a look at some Office doc malware. I pulled a couple down from. I saw some hashes floating around on Twitter today or yesterday or whatever it was. So I pulled this one down, and we'll take a look at it. And I'll just kind of talk you through my methodology. And as we go, I'll kind of keep an eye on the chat and see if there's any kind of questions or comments and stuff that people want me to cover. So. Right, let's get going. I see people asking in the chat already about malware that can jump out of a VM and target the host. I would say definitely there is. I don't think I've ever experienced it, but that's probably because I probably have experienced it but never know if I've been infected, right? Because that kind of malware is just on a different level. That's kind of what I imagine to be the real nation state kind of stuff. So we'll hope for the best, and hopefully my virtual machine will stand up to the Emotet attack that I'm gonna fire at it shortly. Someone else asking how old I am. Oh, how dare I?
「
What else we got?
「
What else we got?
「
What else we got? Streaming in 480p, that's weird. I don't know. I got everything kind of jacked up ready. Maybe my MacBook's not up to scratch, but I'll see if I can tweak some things along the way. Let me have a look on my live dashboard in YouTube. Okay, we'll see how we go. Alrighty, let's get going. Let's take a look at the Emotet sample that I've grabbed. Can everyone hear my tunes as well? Can you hear the music? Is that loud enough? Mic's loud enough, is it? I take it as well. Hopefully it's good. I can definitely hear it, which is good. I need to. I always have to have music on when I'm analyzing malware. I need to kind of zone out, especially with some kind of noise cancelling headphones. I feel like that really helps me. Any kind of distraction when I'm pulling apart code is really kind of throws me off. So hopefully you guys can hear that too. But good. What we're going to do, what I thought I'd do anyway in the virtual machine, is just kind of talk you through there's 2 or 3 key tools which I always run from a behavioral analysis point of view. The first one is Process Monitor. So from sysinternals, Process Monitor, or otherwise people call it Procmon, is really awesome because it will just basically tell you everything that's going on from a process perspective, registry, network perspective, anything that's going on the file system as well. And it's going to give you so much information that you can kind of step back in time and see actually what happened on the machine when the malware was actually executing. So there's loads of filters we can apply. We'll talk through a few of those in just a second. But that's one of the key tools that I like to use straight away. I also kind of monitor processes live with Process Hacker. So we'll get that rolling and we'll come back to that in a second, I guess. And then also I like to look at the network activity. Most people use Wireshark or other stuff. I tend not to. Because I'm really lazy and I don't like writing filters in Wireshark to try and filter out filter out conversations and stuff like that. I tend to like to just monitor using Microsoft Network Monitor, which is a really old piece of software. But what I like about it is that it gives you a list of conversations based on what process generated the traffic, which I find is really useful. So instantly I can just kind of see what traffic the malware generated, which is cool. So I have that running in the background as well. And then also I use Burp Suite, which is a pen test tool predominantly, but it's really good just to capture HTTP history. So I use the HTTP history tab. I don't tend to use anything else for malware analysis in Burp Suite. Obviously for pen testing and stuff like that I would do. But it does the job for me quite nicely. I proxy if anyone's interested. So I have, oops, if I can type properly. I have a proxy server configured in my Windows machine here. So I just proxy out all of my connection through localhost port 8080. And anything which obeys a proxy you'll see in Burp Suite. Not everything does obey a proxy, but it captures most things, which is good. So the first thing I tend to do is just get my filters up on Process Monitor. I need to reset these because I was looking at some DLL hijacking last time. And I have a look for where the processes are starting, so process creation, and then process exiting. So it's going to give you everything. It's going to give whatever's behind your filter, it's still going to record. But the stuff that I'm really interested on the screen is I just want to see what's firing when I open this piece of malware, and we'll go from there. So have a look at the document, and we'll get going and see. Standard Emotet, really. I see this kind of shit all the time. Active content's been disabled. Probably, I mean, the first thing I would generally do is just run the sample, and we'll dive into the VBA in just a second. But I got my Procmon going. One thing I always forget to do, I always forget to capture events, so don't forget to do that. That would have been a really poor demo. And enable content, no doubt it's going to fire as I've enabled it, and you can see it's launching a PowerShell command. So pretty standard Emotet sample, really. The good thing about this is with Process Monitor you can double click these things and then just get the actual command line that was passed to each process that's been spawned. So we've got the PowerShell here, which is good. If we have a look in Process Hacker as well, we can see, oh, actually there we go, in fact I just caught it right in time, right? So 877.exe is just executed. And we have a look back in my process monitor window, we can see that it was PowerShell that launched that 877 exe process, and then that's created itself as a service, and for whatever reason it's called itself Pixel Pink, whatever the fuck that means. But that looks like its persistence mechanism, and that's one of the kind of questions we want to kind of extract, right? When we're analyzing malware, what is it? What information is actually really important? And I guess for me personally, I want to know what are the artifacts that it's writing to the disk, what are the network artifacts, so where is it going to go and download from the internet if it does that, and how is it going to change the registry, and then more important, like how does it actually remain persistent on a machine? Not all malware does, but most malware will do, and those are the kind of key indicators of compromise that I want to pull out here. So we can tease that apart a little bit in a few minutes as well. So I got my shit from Process Monitor, which is good. So let me finish the capture on that, because that can be pretty heavy. And then what I like about it as well, just out of interest, if you press Control and T, you get like the kind of the tree of like what processes spawned what. So you can see here that the executable processes. You can see PowerShell launched 877. It looks like it unpacked itself into a new process. And then the other processes we saw, Pixel Pink started as a service in System 32, you can see here, and then again that looks like it's unpacked itself into a new process as well. So, so yeah, those are key indicators you can rip out from Procmon, and it's so quick to get that. I just absolutely love this tool; it's unbelievable. I guess one of the other quick things I like to do as well is have a look in the memory of the process. So we've got the Emotet process running. You can have a look in Process Hacker. You can have a look at the strings in memory. So it's a real quick way of pulling out any excuse me, any indicators like network indicators or IP addresses or anything like that. So I tend to look for the string HTTP, and you can see straight away there's something here, right? So you've got this IP address /PSEC child sim whatever. So that's probably the first C2 in the memory. So that's good, easy way to pull out some network indicators from that particular binary. So let me just roll back my virtual machine. So I'm gonna reanalyze the document, but I don't want to do it whilst I'm infected, because it might kind of slow down my machine and just kind of mess everything up and stuff like that. So we'll start again. Let me have a look at the chat as well. I've been ignoring the chat for the last few minutes. Let me see. People asking me about Ghidra. I've never used it. And the reason why I've never used it, it's a real stupid reason, is this virtual machine is Windows 7 32-bit, and Ghidra runs on a 64-bit machine. And I don't have a 64-bit Windows machine to run it on, so I've never used it. But I probably will do. I've heard great things about it. So yeah, I'll get around to that. I tend to like using x32 or x64 DBG. That's my kind of debugger or disassembler of choice, and there's a debate there as to whether you call it a debugger or not, or a disassembler or whatever, but in my mind it kind of does the same thing. Anyway, right, let's get our document back on here, and we can kind of pull it apart a little bit more and have a look at the macros and stuff. So before I enable macros, let me get back into the Visual Basic here, and we can see what I want to do is kind of disarm the malware. So we can open and close this without it actually infecting and stuff like that. And I could probably just disable my network adapter. That would do it, obviously. But we'll take a look and see whether we can find the actual execution point and see what it's doing. Just I generally want to see how that PowerShell is being generated, basically. So you can see it's just so full of bullshit in this in that particular module. Let's have a look at the next one. It's probably got an auto open routine, I would imagine, which is what I'm kind of looking for, I guess. Yeah, here we go, auto open. So it's full of noise. Let's see whether we can figure out what it's doing and where it's getting all of its stuff from. You can notice, if you notice, there is a, although it's really noisy, there is a little bit of a pattern to the noise, right? There's loads of comments and we can ignore those, the stuff in green, and then you can see there's loads of variables which are like assigned the product of mathematical functions and stuff like that. But at the start of each subroutine or each function, the bad guys have used on error resume next, which basically means that, you know, it doesn't matter what you write, even if it's not going to compute properly and it throws an error, the VBA interpreter is just going to move on to the next line. So all of this noise can, you know, doesn't even have to be real code. It will just skip it and move on. Actually, what's interesting here, you can see what stands out is this one line here, which is just, again, looks like it's blended into the noise, but that's probably the function that gets called. So let's have a little look for that in the project. So here it's a function. It's probably going to generate a process, no doubt. Let's have a look. It's all the same kind of noisy stuff, I guess. What's it doing? Oh, here, this will be it. So you can see there's the return of the function is like something dot create, and then there's a big weird string. So no doubt that's some kind of process. So let's have a look and see what this is. What's it creating? Get object something. Oh yeah, okay. So this looks like, you can see here there's a pattern 1391, 1391, whatever. If you took all of those out, you got like WIN underscore P ROCESS. It'll be 32 at the end. Yeah. So it's going to create a process and save it here by the looks of things. Let me see. Yeah. Where's it pulling the information from though? That's what we want to find out. Usually what I've seen is, you can see them here, they create text boxes really small and they pull they hide away all of the code in the text. So you can see there's a little bit of text in this one. Some in here. Yeah, all of this will just be like all the strings that extract a load of strings out of it and make up some of the PowerShell. Alright, let's have a look and see whether we can dump it out. Oops. So much shit in here, it's unbelievable. So this is this little decode function, I would imagine. Let's have a look. Everything seems to be passed into here. Yeah, so it replaces it with, okay. All right. Probably easy just to get the PowerShell from the from Procmon like we did before, and we'll decode it from there. I don't think it's doing anything else other than creating the process, which is cool. So let's get this rolling. Let me reset this. Right. Let me get it into. Where's my screen? CyberChef. You guys use this? It's awesome. One of my favorite tools for just manipulating strings and messing about with stuff in general, really. So let's get this PowerShell in here. All of this encoded stuff is just base 64. So let's debase 64 it. You can see it's got a load of null bytes. Let's get rid of them. Alright, see what we can work out what it's doing. It has a comment, Microsoft.com. I think that, I don't know why, I've seen stuff like that before. I think they must just throw it in there in case you like automate your URL blocking or something like that. If you want to pull out something and you end up blocking a URL out the back of it, you'd end up blocking Microsoft, which would not be any good. Set some variables up, 877, that's obviously the name that we saw before. In the user profile folder, .exe, so 877.exe. Create a new object, and we can see here there's URLs that it's going to pull the traffic from. Download the file, get item. It's going to check the length to see whether the length is greater than or equal to 27k, just over, and then execute it. So what I like to, what you can do actually is you can extract the URLs from here, and then you can split them. So you can see here they're delimited by like an asterisk. We change it here, and there's all the URLs, right? Obviously Microsoft at the top because that was in the comments, but those are the 5 URLs, the downloader URLs that it's going to attempt to pull the content from. So that's pretty cool. Alright, did we see anything else? Did we have a look in our Burp Suite? What did we see? First mind, and you can see the MZ header came from first mind. So what was it? Well, that was the second one. So so it must have hit the silver ant blah blah blah, and it didn't find it. Oh yeah, there you go. So I did a GET request to the silverant.com. It didn't find it, so it moved on to the next one and then found the binary there, the MZ header, which is now obviously infected my machine. Pixel pink again in my system32. So I've got local admin on this, obviously on this virtual machine, so it's got the permissions to write itself and start itself as a service. Usually with Emotet, if you're a standard user, then it'll write itself into a run key in the registry and just persist in that way. So all right, that was that one. Let me clean that one up. I've got another one to have a look at as well. If there's any questions on that one, just let me know. We can talk through it. But I saw another one a couple of weeks ago, or a week or so ago, which was an Emotet downloader again, but it looks like it drops a JavaScript file, and then the JavaScript performs all the badness. And I had a good look at the JavaScript. It looked pretty heavy, so I thought I'd pull it apart on here and show you some of those techniques as well. So I'll have a look at that in a second. Let me have a look and see if I can change my... You guys are commenting on the stream being not great quality. I don't know why that is, but let me see. Alright, I don't think I can fix it right now. I think I know what it is though, so maybe for next time it'll be better quality. You can put that down to me being a streaming noob. We'll see. Am I freelance? No, I have a job. I work for a telecommunications provider. But I work in this kind of field though. I work in like reverse engineering malware and incident response, that kind of stuff. So, right, let's have a look at this JSC one. This is quite an interesting sample. I've not ripped it to bits completely because I wanted to kind of save the pain of going through it live on this stream. So we'll see where that gets me. So right, this one, do the same thing. Let's have a look. We'll set our filters up here on process monitor. We want operation is process create. Have a look at exit as well. Get that rolling. Let's clear out my history in Burp Suite just so we can kind of start afresh. Get Microsoft Network Monitor going. Should I restart my stream? Is that what people think? Let me see. Alright. Before I start this sample, let me restart the stream and you guys can rejoin if that's cool. Give me 2 seconds.